Space Station did get that RTO and didn't find the victory with it, though Scary D did a really good job in that game. I mean, never really got a chance to impact it necessarily, but held the lane against the Sun Wukong and made an impact on the rotations where he could.
Is it the second time so far RTO's lost, or is it more than that?
Yes, I believe.
Definitely two.
Yes, I believe Kalos lost with it in the Dignitas rival set.
Useless.
And now Scary D.
Useless. Scotty, Terra, Kamazots. EUN have the chance to ban RTO. Don't choose to do it either. Okay. So neither of these teams are respecting the RTO.
I mean, Space Station was in first pick last time. It was
Same
left
again.
open,
Okay,
and they
that
picked
makes sense.
So United going to give them the opportunity to do it again, and they will. And if I'm Space Station, I'm happy with that.
Terra Hoi?
Terra Hoi, yeah. I mean, it could be Terra. What did they pick? They picked Terra and
Cullen was
something else. I don't remember. Exactly
Cullen was banned last time round. It can't be Terra Hoi because Terra's banned, that's why. Cullen was banned out last time round, so there's going to be a switch up for that. But it's still going to be the same sort of composition here. Obviously, it might not be Terra, obviously Terra not support this time, but Cullen could go solo or jungle.
I imagine it's probably going to be either jungle or solo. I don't think we're going to be seeing Cullen support anytime soon. Jingwei, the pick. I think this is in response to Panda Cat playing aggressive in this duo lane. Jingwei has that option of using agility to get away from the dive bomb knockup, so it really limits what Huyi can do offensively. I like this idea, but it's the same sort of thing where it's a low pressure hunter at the beginning, and Zap probably going to be left alone with that Jingwei.
So it's very, very similar to last time round, realistically here. Osiris again could be in the solo lane, could be in the jungle again. RTO could solo or support. We'll see if they do mix things up, because I think Space Station's going to mix something up here. I don't think they can run it back exactly the same with just a change to, to Jingwei instead of Apollo.
I agree. I think that Osiris is probably going to go solo this time around, and RTO will go jungle or will go support. But could be wrong. I wouldn't be too surprised if RTO goes solo again, because I really think Scary wasn't part of the issue there for Space Station. But I really don't know if I want to see Homie on that Osiris in the jungle again.
Well, they're going to ban Toth themselves this time round, and Fafnir for United. That kind of shows me that they might be looking for potential double auto attackers here. So Kronos available, so Sol. They could look with that with the Fafnir too.
Yeah. I think that that's a really smart choice. And Scylla for Annenster, one of his signature mid laners. He's really enjoyed this god ever since he moved out of the jungle and into the mid lane. And it's going to be Sobek. So I think it might be Sobek support, RTO solo. That's my guess.
Well, we'll see what happens when we get into that game. United with the final pick, though. I'm expecting Solo Kronos here. Nox, okay. So they're actually using Fafnir to empower Nemesis and Cullen more as well, which does work out quite well.
It does.
A lot of their magical damage, though, is resting on Nox, which is a very tricky one to deal with. You don't want the abilities, you're not doing damage very easily.
Exactly, and there's not a ton of setup between E-United and Space Station here. So, or for E-United's roster, I should say, for that Nox in the mid lane. You're looking at Fafnir Hammer and Cullen knockup and Huyi stun. I mean, not a ton in terms of setup for this Nox, usually paired with things like Athena and Thor and Erlong Shen, stuff that's guaranteed range CC that you can really hit multiple people off of at times, but just trusting Venenu to hit that combo all on his own for the most part. So
Hog for both solo laners yet again. We're seeing that rise in the solo lane position, not in the jungle so far. See how that continues as the games progress this split, because at the moment it's still early days, and I think the one thing about the first weekend aggro is everybody comes in with an idea.
Yep.
And everyone tries to execute their idea, and then they reflect on everybody else's ideas too. And eventually by the end of week 2, you've normally got a consensus of what is meta.
Yes,
as it stands.
It takes a little bit of time, and remember, most of these teams end up scrimming 1 or maybe 2 teams in preparation for the start of the fall split. So they develop their own little meta, and then they get to see what everyone else is doing.
Scary D in a bit of trouble there, I say, but then Benji's the one that's taking more brunt of the damage. Obviously, Scary D has 2 abilities, and one of those is a sustain, and then you've got Homie Efe who's just going to cleave for till the cows come home if he can. But Scary D's getting low, has to turn to bear again. Benji just looking for the Berserk form at level 1, remember. That can cause some problems too. The rage is going to come through very soon. A Scream had to beads there as well. Forced back a Space Station. Scary D's still very low. No one done any buffs just yet.
Yeah, this is a fight that really should have been in Space Station's favor, but now that Benji's got that rage meter built up that far up, Space Station realizes they cannot continue that fight. I really like the idea to fight, though, at level 1 between Scary D and Homie Efe. It just, a little bit of target splitting.
Yep.
Homie couldn't get to where Scream or where Benji was, so it was just a little bit awkward at times, but with Osiris and RTO, I think that's the right fight to take.
A couple of pressure points onto Scary D now, though, because he did use his multi-potions all the way through now, as you can see, so he's completely out of potions, which means that you can try and poke him down a little bit more. He's going to have to use just a sustain in his kit to survive this laning phase against Benji as well, who's playing Kukulkan. That is anti-heal in his kit as well.
That's true. The spear does provide you with 50% anti-heal, so RTO does need to be a little bit worried about that, but as long as Scary gets the blue buff, not worried about his sustain at all. He just needs to make sure that Space Station get that buff for him, otherwise that's where issues could arise.
So now Space Station will go into their own jungle to clear it out, but Scream and Benji didn't take too long to do that, so Benji can walk around and have a little gander into the enemy jungle and go, hey guys, what's up? I'm level 3, you guys are level 2, and that's going to force Sobek and Scylla over to this right-hand side as well to support. You can actually see Adinster picked up the speed buff there himself, worried about losing that.
I think I would have rather seen Space Station pull that blue buff and try and bait Benji in, because Scream had already bounced. He was heading towards his own jungle to farm up right side back camps, and maybe if you bait Benji in with the pressure that you have from mid, you're either going to get that buff a little bit quicker because Benji won't be there to try and steal it away. He'll have backed up by then, or you could potentially claim first blood for yourself, because there's no way that Nox is going to outpush anyone in the mid lane at 2 minutes in.
So the Space Station game plan is pressure in mid, pressure in solo lane, leaves that man 2v1. Seems to be the call, and I like the adjustment they made by giving him Jingwei instead, because if he does get pressured out, he can always come back very quickly with that passive and get superior farm.
Exactly. He doesn't have to worry about getting poked out this time and can continue to farm those back camps as he really liked to do in game number 1. Plus, as I mentioned during picks and bans, a lot of what Hui wants to do offensively is jump on top of you to guarantee the ricochet. Can't do that against Jingwei. The agility will let her get out of there fairly easily.
Well, Zatman should know that round the back comes Fafnir, because he's got Jigs telling him that, but he's still going to get hit by the hammer here. Mark of the Crow on, no ricochet from Panicat just yet, obviously. As Bear Michael eat a tail whip, nothing more to talk about there, but on the right-hand side, Benji could be in a bit of trouble here. Caught between a rock and a hard place. He's got a rotation coming, and Space Station would rather get the farm of the Elementals, which makes sense if they can.
But Benji has his ultimate, does use it there as the Elementals go Space Station's way, but they get out the beads from Homie Efe. That's the real key, because whenever you have beads, Nox, not a scary character. You've got him, you can do all of her damage.
I mean, while you've got them available, yeah, but when they're on cooldown, there's not much else you can do. Nice route from Andy getting both of them, because Scream just ran right towards the direction of that damage. So far, no kills again, and it's a very similar tempo to last game, in my opinion.
Both of these teams comfortable with themselves in the late game. Again, a bunch of veterans on both sides, and most veterans are willing to take the game late because they have the experience of playing those later stages.
Scariest thing is when you look at Venenu, who's the lowest in terms of experience on any of these teams, I'd say.
Yes, and even he is fairly experienced. Yeah, he was part of Allegiance during Season 3, spent some time with a lot of veterans on that Oxygen Supremacy team that made a phenomenal run at that Gauntlet LAN, and that was big LAN experience for Venenu as well, who had only been to the group stage LAN during Season 3 before that, and he had a phenomenal showing, so you know he's got that in him if this team can get to LAN.
And I will say this is a big step for Venenu too, because there's a lot of pressure on him here, because he's the technically least experienced member of this roster, I'd say, and the least experienced in a mid lane position too. It's a lot to step up to. You play Morrigan and Nox, you're really showing your worth.
And he's got the God pool. I mean, look at what he played whenever he was on Oxygen.
Sure.
The Vulcan, the Chiron, things like that. We watched him in the Challenger Cup. He was playing a lot of stuff there as well. This is a guy who has put the time in to become a really strong mid laner. As soon as he got dropped from Allegiance, he basically went straight to practicing the mid lane and trying to dedicate himself to that role, and it's really paid off for him.
Absolutely even game as it stands right now, outside of Zatman being slightly ahead of Pandacat, but he's got a full minion wave there, and so that should even things up sooner rather than later. Scary D will get his blue buff as Benji continues claiming the wave, and Space Station looking at these Elementals again, but there's a big rotation coming for those two, so they're going to have to give up on it. And Venenu can't find the route he was after, but he does buy enough time for United to get the big Elemental.
Only reason Ven gets to play that aggressive there is because he knows that both Jigs and Homie are susceptible to this combo. Neither had CC immunity available in order to get out of it because Homie didn't have his beats.
A lot of pressure to Scary D on this right-hand side now as the ult does come through from Scream as well as Benji. And I tell you what, you might be a big old tanky bear, but when you get shredded by a Nemesis, that'll put you to bed.
That is what RDO can. That is how you punish RDO right there. That dash is not slow, I would say, but it's certainly not quick, and it's very telegraphed. So really smart play there from Benji. Interrupt that dash, and once you interrupt the dash, Ardio's pretty much a sitting duck for that Nemesis ult. Good identification. Instead of just being like, well, Ardio's insane, we can't really do anything against her, you figure out a way to beat her, and that's what you do there.
Oh, nice play from Amninster there to put some pressure back. Obviously, because he had to sidestep the silence, he couldn't get the crush off in time.
And that's because Polar Bear Mike had a perfectly timed hammer. Stun out Amninster to make sure that crush wasn't coming through. Heads up play by PBM, potentially saving his mid laner's life.
Yeah, Veneno was in a little bit of a tricky situation now, but you can see what Veneno's looking for. He's looking for the damage. If he hits the 2-1 combination we're so used to, the silence into root, someone's at least at half health.
Plus, he's looking for the control, the CC immunity to pull that out of Amninster, force him into those beads. If you can get that in a 1v1 scenario, that means next time PBM shows up, Amninster is ready and waiting for that combo, which would certainly result in a kill. So Veneno playing aggressive there, as long as he stays safe from that crush, should be okay, but getting to the point where he's not going to be able to do that much longer.
Zapman did keep an eye on the map a little bit late there, I'd say. He had the wall coverage down and the rotation was coming, but slightly out of position for a second. These two have been boxing away in this lane. I know we've not tuned in recently, but you can just keep an eye on those health bars on the bottom left and your right hand side of your screen. You can just see that they keep going up and down as they keep boxing away, and eventually they'll all stay full with these Devourer's gauntlets they're both working on.
And that's what you expect whenever Panda Cat and Zapman go up against one another.
Are they the two most aggressive hunters right now in North America? I'd say so.
In North America, yeah. I would say so for sure. I mean, you look at, Barracuda can play aggressive, but for the most part, we'll just kind of wait for the team fighting phase. I think that these two, or maybe Snoopy likes to play aggressive at times. Those are the guys who are going to try and go at each other.
2v3 on the right-hand side right now going on. And you can actually see there's a lot of trouble here for Benji. He's got some support from Scream, though, as they're still trying to dive onto Benji here. Scary D's doing work as much as he can. But Scary D's got to turn around, switch to bear stance, get the stun up, and dash away. So a 3v2 scenario becomes naught on the right-hand side.
Andy just couldn't quite connect with that killing blow on the I'm a Monster. And Scream did a good job of making him reconsider staying around with that Nemesis ult as well. If Homie's there, that's certainly a kill for Space Station, but just was on the left side of the map whenever that was going on, still trying to prioritize his farm after falling behind so early in game 1. I think he really wants to make a dedicated effort to not having that happen to him here in game 2.
I think Space Station's just been looking too much towards the late game every single game so far. Like they're losing the early quite heavily. I mean, this situation not as heavily as before, obviously, but they're quite willing to lose a lot in the early game to try and get to a mid-late game standard. And having an Osiris for the early game in the jungle, I mean, sure, but Homie's really been focused on jungling. He's actually just been farming to try and get stronger and stronger, whereas Scream, he's still further ahead right now.
It's just, I see the idea for Space Station's comp. As you mentioned, think late game, and then we need some early game. Yeah, we'll just put Homie on
Throw
Osiris.
Throw an RTO and an Osiris in there.
Exactly, but even the RTO really isn't that early game. That's still mid to late overall because it's a Guardian in the solo lane that's going to make a great impact when it comes to the team fighting phase. It's just that Homie has not been able to put that pressure on because of how much late game is elsewhere in Space Station's draft. You really, whenever you watch Obey play the Osiris jungle, they're pairing it with early game almost across the map, except for late game in the dual lane and sometimes late game in mid, but it's almost always an early game solo lane.
Well, Benji's going to ult here to try and keep two of them busy. He's still tethered, however, so that tether will connect. And Benji's in trouble as there's Homie FA committing hard for this kill to Benji. The turnaround could be there, though he can't get the damage over the wall. Homie's still looking for the kill and can't find it. In comes Zap to clean up, however, there's a fight rages on. Homie FA will clean up. Sorry, get cleaned up by Veneno, and I'm a Monster proc by Andy, but there's no further follow-up. It's 1-for-1 exchange, jungler for solo.
Panda marks the wrong target, but still double bounces, and it's their big damage, and Scream is going to find both. Zapman has the ultimate, but he gets knocked up and can't even use it.
And now Scary D's trying to fight the world pretty much here, trying to pick up Scream at the end. Good stuff from Polar Bear Mike, and the double shot of the ricochet will allow Veneno to clean up the kill due to the root. 6-1, another team fight that goes EU United's way. Everyone lived, right? No, Benji died. That was it.
Benji died, but just barely. It took Zap really coming in late in that team fight in order to finish him off. United don't feel like they can do gold here just because of how early Homie FA had respawned and was making his way towards gold, but just kind of the safer call in that scenario. This is starting to look to me like a top-tier team, and this is why. It's the team play that you're saying, wow, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Polar Bear Mike saves the life of Benji there, Scream, or whoever was low, because of a perfectly timed stun. but then it's also the insane individual plays that work as team plays. That timing on the stun, the double bounce from PandaCat to continue the CC chain onto Zapman. All these little things that are impressive on a team level and on an individual level. When you start putting those together, you start looking like teams like Dignitas,
sure,
who everyone's making these really flashy plays, and that comes together into this just incredible conglomeration of team and individual play. And EU United is starting to look like that.
The biggest problem for EU United, as I see going through the season, and this is why I've got him as mid-table still, as we watch Benji here knock up 3 and escape over the top of Jigs, but Jigs will pull it back in. Benji's in a bit of trouble here, but with Rage Form, he might be able to get away again thanks to the dash. There it comes. The root won't stop Jigs, though. Jigs may be able to secure this kill, avoiding the Armored Monster out of Andinster there, so Andinster is forced to reset, but Benji still goes down. Jigs is very low now too. Scream wants to try and clean this one up as Andy over the wall, trying to support, and the root comes into play, but Jigs still in trouble.
Slice and Dice will clean him up no matter what, but Scary's caught between 3. Ven gets credit for that, but PandaCat beating Zapman by a large margin over to this solo side.
And as I was about to say, the one issue Unite has is going to be consistency, because every member of this team here have had issues with being consistent in their performances. If everybody stays on track with how this is looking right now, yes, they could be a dominant NA team, but they've got to keep this consistency going.
Absolutely. Benji, the only one who doesn't really worry about that as much. He's pretty consistent and being really strong.
Oh, Zap could die!
Zap could die here, but the Gold Fury, he got it! PBM stole that?
He did steal it away, and not only that, he forces Zapman back. Homie F, they can't do anything. Polar Bear Mike to the rescue, and Zap gets cleaned up by Scream, rotating around the back, and now the chase is on for Homie and Anster, but Scream's just going to have a little bit of fun.
Did PBM steal that with an auto? Or a jump? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It was stolen.
Less than 50 damage.
It was stolen.
Less than 50 because Zap ate the hammer.
Now, on top of that, now Benji's going to get tier 1 tower on the right-hand side because Scary D was looking at potentially rotating here, or at least it's one hit.
You want to talk about crazy individual plays. That's it for E United. That's how as soon as Space Station thinks they can get back into this one, and they would have been back into it with that Gold Fury, Polar Bear Mike says, no, we're still in this lead.
Well, Benji's going to bring a whole team over to say hello this time around. I don't think he's going to be able to say goodbye other than to get a quick trip back to the fountain this time. 9-3 as Benji overstays his welcome a little bit more there, but he did get the tower, so it's okay.
He did, but he's the only one with any deaths on the side of E United and has to recognize that he's actually behind an XP to everyone on his team except for PBM. So
and the enemy team.
And the enemy team. But, you know, on his team at least, he's not going to be that insane frontliner, at least right now. He's got the Gladiator shield now to give him that extra physical protection, though.
Scary D just traded this one out potentially. Now, he's got no tier 1 tower to fall to, and I think that's why Scary D, he ran back in because he's like, you know what? I don't have a tower. I'm being chased down by a Fafnir and a Nemesis. I'm not getting away anyway.
I think it was to try and get maybe juke out the jump. Polar Bear Mike would probably aim that jump long, try and get back underneath it. Plus, just give his minions that are underneath the tower more time to knock the tower down because, as you mentioned, he knows he's going to fall either way. Regardless, both solo laners caught in the wrong spot, just one after the other.
Oracle's going to go the way of United here. No one to contest from Space Station as it stands. Space Station now 3 kills, same amount as last game so far. We'll see if they can get any more in this, but it's a 5k gold deficit at less than 15 minutes.
United looking really, really good. Hopes were high for Space Station coming into this split, no doubt, but having 2 members change, even though, as I mentioned, the 3v3 core is still the same, and honestly, that's where Space Station has lost a lot of their engagements. The key one being game 1, wherever Jigs and Homie get caught together. That shouldn't really have any bearing on it, whether or not you have the same solo and hunter. But overall, it still changes your team dynamic. Your comms still change, everything like that.
Screaming nearly got caught in the jungle there by Homie FA, but I don't think he'd be too scared. A quick double dash will get him away as they were both looking towards Benji and Scary G having that duel over there. Jigs rotating back towards mid again. It's basically Unite kind of doing what they want to do again. This is very similar. It doesn't feel like it's Space Station that have been doing the committing. Outside of Homie FA's individual play onto Benji earlier on, most of this fight has been caused by United choosing to aggress.
And that's what you want. You want to play the game on your terms, not let the enemy team dictate it to you, as Zap takes a lot of damage here in mid. Ven, if he had the dash, could have actually sold him there.
Yeah, surprised by that play from Zapman there. He knew he was going to get hit by that by sticking around and still chose to do so. Just trying to get some extra tier 1 tower damage on now. And he's in trouble up against PandaCat. We'll get away for the time being, but with the pressure of Zap going back, 5 men of Unite can group mid.
But that being said, Zap's Jing Wei. It's not going to take him long to get back.
Big ultimate coming out there from Scream straight away, forcing Andy to go to his ultimate defensively. He may try to get this over the wall and get some damage on, but too little too late. Scary D turns up, however, to push United back for just a second. With Andy to being at low health here, he's got to be careful about positioning. Scream locked below half as there's the ult from Polar Bear Mike 2. United now on the run.
Good fight here for Space Station. Homie the first one in, looking for PBM, who doesn't have a jump anymore, but Zap looking to finish him off with the autos. Can't quite do it. Huge 4-man knockup from Benji. Keeps everyone from Space Station back.
Nobody dies so far in this fight, but it was a good play from Space Station to hold their Tier 1 tower, also force EU United back just for a second. So that's all there is, really. Just a bit of a fight. Keep it on the relics, though. You can see that Zap, both his relics are on cooldown, so it's probably one of the reasons why they don't want to over-aggress too much.
Nice nice pickup on Jiggs' beads there. I didn't even recognize that Jiggs had the purification beads. Ends up using them pretty late. Took the full brunt of the damage from the combo from Ven, but ends up meaning that, again, Space Station vulnerable to this Nox combo now. 3 of the 5 members, and there are 5 members who have purification beads on Space Station, they're on cooldown for more than a minute, some more than 2.
Hey, Aggro.
Hey.
What happened to Shell? We've only got 1.
Shell's really good.
Wasn't that the talk of the town? Like,
Yes.
Shelly's love, Shelly's life, right?
Yes. I think that Shell probably would have been a better pickup than Thorns, in particular for Homie FA.
We see the Hand of the Gods over Shell. That's interesting.
That's what I was about to say. That's the choice. That's the trade-out that these solo laners are making. Instead of picking up Shell, they're picking up Hand of the Gods. So they're looking to get pressure in the early game instead of trading out their late game team fight. But neither was able to really make an impact with their Hand of the Gods. But that's kind of the point, is that if one solo picks up Hand of the Gods, you're sort of forcing the other one to do so as well. But it ends up benefiting E United here, because that means that no Shell is on the table for Scary D, because he felt like he needed beats.
Well, Polar Bear Mike, how are you going to get out of this one? First of all, he'll jump over Sobek's head and run down the lane as quick as he can. Venenu tried to support, but it's Venenu caught out by trying to support. I'm a Monster's procced, and he's looking for the kill. Nice stun from Homie FA will set him up, but now Scream's here for the turnaround. Aegis used on Anderson, and Jigs with a good bit of peel will separate it. So it's Venenu that was trying to help too much, but Polar Bear Mike may try to help pressure a little bit more now that Panda Cat's back.
Love Andy leaving that crush on the ground so that Scream can't get through. PBM finds the double stun onto Homie, but with Panda Cat lurking, can't quite find it. Zap, no ult, no relics, but stun off the mark there from Panda Cat. Love what Anderson does there. Actually cancels the I'm a Monster in order to Aegis the slice and dice in a 4-frame window. I mean, that was super quick, and that's not intuitive. You want to use that extra movement speed, the CC immunity, to get away with I'm a Monster, but Andy knows he would have died there. Really quick reaction time. It saves his life.
So they do pick up a kill Space Station and get away with it on that left-hand side. That was mainly by Polar Bear Mike and Panda Cat. They got the Tier 1, were stuck around a little bit too long for their own liking, and Venenu tries to support, ends up getting caught.
Exactly. Just again, has to worry about his positioning moving forward for sure, because that, yes, you get some damage there, but you're trying to help out your support.
Yeah.
But no support wants their mid laner to die to save their life. That's just never going to be the call.
Never going to be the case. Zap going to actually get disarmed there by Polar Bear Mike. Nice play by PBM against a former teammate of his, Zap man. Those two have lain together before in the past.
PBM's on point today. His hammer accuracy has been very impressive. His stealing away the Gold Fury, the timings of his hammer has been really good. Clearly just thinking at a very quick pace, using the disarm just to make sure. Could have used the disarm to body block his own ward, but instead use it on Zap.
Nice from Jigs. He's just going to throw his body in the way to make sure Anderson doesn't get hit by that, even if it was on target, which it wasn't at the time. Our ward is down there from United, so they've got Gold Fury control, pressuring Zap again, but the ricochet off the mark from Panda Cat. He does have Devour's Gauntlets though, so he's not going to take too much damage here, but with Space Station now grouping as 3, and with Scylla coming back, United have to be very careful, but look where Scream is. Look where Benji is.
Look where Benji is between the 2 towers. Going to stop Andy from getting in there very easily. Scream could loop around the back at any given moment, just waiting to see where Annister is going to go.
Scream going to get plucked by Jigs there.
Crit.
Gold Fury is still being tagged here. Homie FA trying to keep an eye on that as Jigs has to look at the walls defensively. I'm a Monster pop by Andy, but Gold Fury's already down, going the way of United. The I'm a Monster hits Panda Cat, but Panda going to use the Aegis very, very late. The stun comes into play, but still leaps away. Lord of the Afterlife from Homie FA will allow Scary D to pick up the killer. Scream on this right-hand side, looking for Annister. Forced to beats to get away, and Scary D going to CC Scream to high heaven, looking for the cleanup, and the life tap should be good. Venenu forced to dash away from Zap, who's still giving chase with Scary D in tow now. The knockup is good, but the beads was better. Cancelled out, it wasn't beads at all, it was an ultimate. There's the Aegis from Venenu too to keep buying him time, but Zap gets another kill, and Space Station could be getting back in this.
They certainly could. Only 2 frontliners left, and Benji's still looking for the fight though with PBM, because both still very healthy. PBM knocked down below half HP quickly from the damage of all of Space Station. Benji's still full HP here. No. Space Station needs to be careful.
And Scary D out of mana too, so just keep an eye on this. This chase could continue for a while. Nice use of the crush just for the slow to keep E United at bay. These guys are just going to continue charging this down for a while, I feel. Make sure they can't lazy back quickly to get back to this fight. This gives time for their teammates to respawn and for themselves to potentially look at this red buff.
Very smart. Make sure that Space Station can't get that portal demon to allow their teammates to come back after that.
There you go.
Canister almost falls to Benji with the Salmon Leap. Really like what Space Station was able to do there, just to re-engage. And it's actually Panda Cat who messed up during that engagement because he was about to get hit by I'm a Monster and hit Beads Aegis as a panic. Aegis was too late because Beads came out first, and then he gets rooted and stunned and can't use the Beads because he used them in panic. That ends up throwing that whole fight in Space Station's favor.
Well, Golfier's going to go down here and actually stolen by Homie Efe. Okay, Space Station, we're back in this. If you mentioned less than 15 minutes, we were saying it's a 5k gold lead. It's about the same again right now. So Space Station, as you can see, starting to creep this back to an even game.
That's a big play by Homie, just to get a little bit more global gold and XP for Space Station, but more importantly, keeping it out of the hands of E United, who are pretty close to finishing off some big power items. Rod up to Hootie almost done for Ben.
Jake's going to pluck Panda Cat into an awkward spot. Tailwhip won't get him away from danger just yet because Panda Cat leaps up the wall towards Anderson, but Anderson's in those flames, and Homie Efe with the Lord of the Afterlife puts more pressure on Panda Cat. Panda Cat has no relics, now has no life. Another kill for Space Station.
Panda Cat forced into a bad spot, and he was pretty patient with that ultimate. I thought he might use it right off the root, knowing the Panda Cat had no relics, but instead lets Homie Efe set up for him. Nice pick there. Panda just cannot be in that situation without any relics.
So they get a tier 1 tower mid, and Space Station recognizing oracles. Portal Demons down and the Gold Fury too. Swing to the left-hand side looking for this tier 1 tower. This should be relatively free. United just need to make sure they don't lose the tier 2, or at least too much pressure on it for free.
And Minster staying in mid to protect his own tier 1, making sure that United can't give up 500 on the left or 500 in mid, as you mentioned. This is probably free. Smart play.
Oh, but Agnes is in a bit of a tricky spot now because slowed inside the jungle. Obviously, no beads to get him away from the danger. And the beads from Scream to keep the speed going. Obviously, with speed buff too. And he's going to get a good root off on Scream, and that's going to annoy him. But mobility is key, and Agnes is going to try and run around as quickly as the little girl can go. If she had feet, she might be quicker.
But the Aegis was a little bit too late. I'll try to react to it.
She's got tentacle wolves. That's the issue. No legs.
You think? But she moves so fast whenever she goes up on the tentacles.
Imagine when Scylla's a little bit older, so she gets more movement speed because she's taller, so she strides further.
What is that? Season 6? That's going to be your new passive?
Oh, we leaking the stuff this early? Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
Season
why not?
6.
Sure.
I'll say it.
Confirmed.
Season 6, Scylla is young adult.
Young adult Scylla.
Young adult Scylla. Let's just call it that. So one time the mid will go down from United here. Scary D was just trying to get some farm, but he's going to meet Scream, who's happy to box anybody right now. With Polar Bear Mike turning up, Hammer time comes into play. Scary D forced to beat, and now Polar Bear Mike could chase some more. In with the leap, which guarantees a stun, followed up by a ricochet from Panda Cat, and the hammer means that the bear falls down, and everybody has a nice little taunt time over the corpse of Scary D.
PBM's playing lights out today. Finds the stun to interrupt the dash for Scary D, then immediately transforms. Scary uses his beads to try and get away, but PBM's right back on point with another 2 stuns waiting for Scary whenever he turns into that dragon form.
Why do we say lights out and not lights on?
Because
Isn't lights out a bad thing?
No, he's closing it down. Just no chance of messing up. Lights aren't even on. It's over with.
Okay, that makes some sense. Because I'm like, well, lights out means really strange. It doesn't...
No, lights out, like you can shut it down. Game's over because PBM, he turned him out.
Okay, well, let's find out, because I don't think it's lights out just yet for Space Station. They are still in this game, and it's just starting to creep towards level 20. The best news is they've kind of traded Scylla getting level 20 before Venenu, who's a level up on Aninster. But Zapman has got some lead over Panda Cat now, in Jingwei late game with the crit build that's coming through, as you can see, will start to swing and cause problems.
And that can definitely be a boon for Space Station, as they aren't able to secure away those oracles. But at this stage of the game, a team's either doing Gold Fury because they can do it and they've killed all of you, or you're out of position, or they aren't. So the Oracle Vision not really impactful at 25 minutes whenever there have been this many kills back and forth. But Zap has definitely got to be the focal point for E United. Scream has been looking for Aninster for the most part with these Divine Retributions. It's time to switch those over to Zapman. But the problem is Zap's on a Jingwei who's incredible incredibly mobile. No chance for Scream to chase him down if Zap were to use the ultimate and the dash to get away. So Scream can still try and target out Aninster, but someone has got to try and handle Zap.
It is a good comp, though, to deal with a Jingwei. When you look at the fact they've got a Nox as well as the fact Nemesis can chase you down in the back line, that'll help. Or you don't need either of those two characters. You just get Polar Bear Mike and Panda Cat to do the dirty work for you. Gold Fury being done as they did find that kill on the left-hand side. And meanwhile, the rest of the team are just pressuring mid to make sure nobody can stop the Gold Fury being taken.
Zap just looks a little rusty to me. I think that the no relic usage there when you're getting stunned out 2v1. I know Panda had already used his CC in that scenario, but you just have to know how much damage a Hui is going to do to you if he's already thrown the mark on top of you.
You talk about Rust. I mean, he did take a bit of a split off during the summer too, so coming back into it, he may have to find his groove again at the moment. It's not working out great for the whole team of Space Station. They're still not out of it though, I keep saying that, but Homie FA in trouble, knocked up just inside the Suns, and one life goes down. Make that 4 dead right now for Space Station, and all that's left is Scary D, the only little bear on his own. Gonna try and contest this Fire Giant.
Panda Cat knows he's here. Scary does find the dash and not interrupted this time around, but immediately back to the Fire Giant. E United will be able to secure their first one of the game for free. And going back to what I was saying about Zapman, he still clearly has the mechanics. The decision making is still there. I just know that Season 3 Zapman can stand there in that 2v1 and either force E United to make a mistake or survive and get out and live to fight another day. He's just, it's those half-second sort of hesitations, even less than that really, that could end up opening the door for the opposition. I think Zapman in Week 4 doesn't make that mistake. It's just that coming back into competitive play, even with all the scrims that I'm sure he's doing behind the scenes and everything like that, is just going to be that much tighter when it comes to the decision making and what he's going to be doing on the field.
Well, now United have the Fire Gen and that Portal Demon. They're just going to rotate straight towards the mid lane again. Venenu just heading back to base, and it looks like he's also going to be picking up a Chronos Pendant as his next item here. How are you feeling about Chronos Pendant?
I think Chronos Pendant is excellent as a 5th or 6th item. It's just far too expensive to get earlier than that. It's Polar Bear Mike taunts because he just stole red buff from Aninster, which is actually pretty impactful at this stage of the game, and Zapman avoids that combination. Love the decision making there from Ven to go into Polar Bear Mike
and Mike
to make sure that you're not going to be taking any of that damage.
I noticed that Mike, realizing that he was still in the crush, so leaps too to avoid the damage on top of that, supports his team. Bit of a split push from United. Benji pressuring right. Speed buffs available for Benji though, so he'll go and take that as 3 members group in the mid lane. Obviously plenty of control here with a Fafnir and that Nox. So Scary D has to show up as well to try and make sure the pressure's relieved for now. It's leaving Scream versus Zap on the left-hand side, which I don't expect either of them are really going to die here.
Relics, Aegis was actually used by Zapman as Scream looked like he hit him with the Blink ultimate. But Zap should be able to defend this tower. He's got the ranged auto attacks, and he's got the Deathbringer. He's got the Poison Star as well. Plenty of crit in that build.
Yeah, this is just a pressure situation for United, using this Fire Giant to their advantage and actually going to pick up Jigs, who clearly ate a hammer from Polar Bear Mike there as well. There's the ult from Venenu, just splitting the uprights, unfortunately, but it does give enough room there for the tier 2 to fall. Scream's now been left alone on the left.
Nice American football term there.
It's in every term.
Splitting the uprights?
Rugby.
Really? They use that in rugby?
Mm-hmm.
It's an American football term.
Right.
I've heard your argument and decided I didn't like it.
Okay. Tier 2 towers everywhere. Falls in quick succession at 29 minutes in, and now it's Phoenix's remaining. Jigs is dead for another 10 seconds, which means the only real frontline they've got is this RTO and the Homie FA on the Osiris. I don't like Homie on the Osiris. I love Homie as a player. I think he's one of the best in North America. I just don't think it's his style. I want to see him go in and be Ham, be the assassin, be the destroyer of worlds.
What happened to Homie Thor, man? I just want to watch Homie Thor.
Well, Thor was banned, I believe, in this game.
Yeah,
too, so that makes sense.
After they picked Osiris.
Ryan Phoenix goes down. Middle Phoenix now being sieged up. All 5 members of Space Station are back. Jigs leading the charge at only level 15. With the support Scary D looking towards Panda Cat, who jukes out nicely to avoid the charge. Now it's Scary D and Jigs on the run. Backside though, Anderson's been left alone. Beads and Aegis used to get away. A Scream pressured him out from the Phoenix on the left-hand side. The rest of the United still sieging mid.
This has been a 4v5 with Scream cleaning up the pieces of whatever falls behind for Space Station. Mid Phoenix does fall to the hand of Panda Cat. Decent damage coming out of Aninster, who still has that I'm a Monster, but he knows he can't step up anymore because Scream forced out both of his relics near the fountain.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think of a word for E United's performance there, just a single word, because I've got one for Space Station, which is disappointing.
I think disappointing is the perfect word to sum up what we've seen from Space Station so far today. But it's only week 1. This isn't a loss against a team that, you know, is way beneath you in skill level. United is right there with Space Station in terms of what the expectations are for the rest of the
Link
squad.
from Scream, he's going to get pressure onto Adnister, who has no relics. Remember, we know that from before. Zatman going to get away this time just about. Red buff will go down to E United, and they're pretty much just continuing to keep this pressure up.
Gold Fury about to respawn. The one word for E United's performance, I think it would be impressive. I think that they worked together very well. They made the individual plays very well, and they didn't show a lot either. This is not a composition that other teams, you know, would be surprised by.
Sure.
Maybe the double Nemesis ult comp, yeah, that can kind of catch you off guard. But everything else, if you didn't know Scream played Nemesis, then you haven't really been paying attention. Venenu, his Nox has been good, and certainly something that you have to keep in mind moving forward, but no surprise that Panacat plays Huyi. It's not like they came out with some crazy team composition and they caught Space Station by surprise. They just were the better team today.
Completely agree. Fire Giant about to spawn in 20 seconds time, as will the Portal Demon soon after that. So that's what United will pay attention to for the time being. Space Station looking to try and defend these Phoenixes, which will respawn, well, in quite a while. I guess you try and all in the Fire Giant here. There's not really many other options left, really, is there?
2 Phoenixes.
Just all in it and hope for the best. You win the fight, you're potentially back in it. You lose the fight, you're going home anyway.
I think I'm a fan of waiting around the back Harpies grouped as 5 and popping out and trying to pick 1 or 2 people, because you're not too far from your base. You still have somewhere to run if necessary, and you're never going to get the Fire Giant. You're just too far extended. There's too many places to run by the Fire Giant.
I thought you were going to say, I'm a big fan of 5-man in back Harpies because we can't do anything else.
I mean, sometimes that's what you got to do. Farm is farm. Man, I'll take it.
What, even as a 5-man though?
Oh yeah.
It's not really farm then at that point, is it?
Well, at 32
it's
minutes when we're
sprinkle.
Yeah, it's a little taste.
It's like a sprinkle. 32 minutes.
A pinch
into this game.
It's a pinch of farm.
A pinch of farm.
If there was a recipe, it would be a pinch of farm.
Well, that pinch is definitely
Doesn't that drive
needed.
you crazy when you're following a recipe and it says a pinch of this? I'm
How much is a
reading a
pinch?
recipe to get explicit instructions so I don't mess this up.
I mean, a pinch is literally what it says it is.
My fingers are different sizes than your fingers.
That's true.
Who's writing it? Maybe they've got monstrous hands.
I forget what to say if they did. Anyway, that's how the story of this game's gone pretty much. We've been discussing condiments. If Tom was here, we'd be having hot dog talk too.
Well, duh.
The Phoenix on the left-hand side is being chipped at as 2 members of United yet again. I love the decisions to split the map. They don't group as 5 United. They're trying to keep them busy and everywhere at the same time.
But it's the 2 mobile gods that can get to the fight quickly that are split off. It's not 2 gods that can get caught flat-footed and not be there to help in case of emergency.
4 members in the mid lane now, as Benji's still on the right-hand side. That Phoenix is about to respawn, so it makes sense to be grouped in the side. The Phoenix is a little bit better to defend itself earlier on these times. Sun's come down, and a quick whip from Benji, and that ultimate will help to make sure they do pick up that Phoenix. And now the fight unfolds, and a big ult from Venenu.
Zap probably going to fall before he even gets to the fountain. Scream finds Jigs as well. I'm a monster waiting for Annenster, but who do you even hit? Everyone's full HP. No one's even scared of it.
Beautiful performance from E United, and they deservedly get a 2.